fresh view on the regional perspective on translation and interpreting. Professor Manira, you may proceed. Yeah.
สวัสดีค่ะ and Arun Suwate. I try to speak Khmer. Good morning. My presentation, please. So, while waiting for the PowerPoint, I would like to, I listened to Mr. Tin Jennings and very impressed of the history of interpretation, especially in Europe, because in the last few years, I have worked with Director General of EU Interpretation and Translation, and I've noticed 7,000 languages used. So there are a lot of languages used in the world, and especially in Asia. If we take a look at the whole picture of translation and interpretation industry, now because now we know that both activities are important key to global economy. Why I said that? Because anything that you would like to, I am going to focus on business and industry in addition to academia. So if you want to sell or negotiate or communicate with other countries, first thing you have to do under languages or the language that your partner understands. So as I told you that the world uses 7,000 languages, so it's not possible for anyone to speak all the languages. So we have to go through translation and interpretation. Next slide, please. Maybe Cambodia. I think we have joint hand because EU has cooperation among their countries, America, and in the US, cooperate with Canada or whatever. We should join hands. And then I think one thing that we can propose to the whole world is our Asian brand or ASEAN brand through translation and interpretation. Why? Because we are the biggest continent. We have wider area, the widest area. We have the most population and we have the most languages used. Why can't we propose our Asia brand through our cooperation and collaboration? Next, please. See, if you see, for the global economy, you see, we start from the flag, please, your flag. In 20th century, the former century, the picture is that, you see, we emphasize on international exporting. Every country would like to export their products abroad. But now we move a little bit to multinational country silos, means that everybody wants to be a hub of anything, center of everything or anything. Now for the 21st century, the competition is very fierce, very high. So the picture is that we have to join hands to have some kind of global full integration. This one we cannot. Maybe we have enough translator and interpreters, but if we want to compete, if we want to propose our translator and interpreters to work in the world. Actually, I have another picture, but not having it doesn't appear. So Asia must become part of global solution, not isolate itself. So we think that not just live among us. We have to fully participate in the world. We have to fully participate in any activity, but we have to be well prepared. ASEAN, which will be effective in 2015, is one channel that we can fully participate in the world. Why? Because the world is without border, right? Next, please. anything coming in globalized, we have to make it localized in order to be well aware of the phenomena of the world. Next, please. Here is a figure. Tuan Pil discussed this figure in detail in his presentation. You see that for the whole picture of language service provider, we have two important things, two important issues for us today. The first is language service providers, any companies, any corporate, any association, any organization that provide services on languages. And the second, we have translation, interpretation, and localization service providers. See, all of them you see, the total market of this industry is 100% right. Asia with biggest continent, most populated area, most languages used, we have just 12% of market share. Why? Actually, comparing to, our huge continent, we should have more than half. What happened with this figure? This figure just happened only this year, but a few years ago, we have just 5% of market share. That's why we are going to do something to fully participate in this industry, which is my next session, not this session. Okay. The majority fall on Europe and America. Next slide, please. This is the eGDP. Okay, you know about GDP, right? Ordinary income and expense. For the eGDP means the online or internet usage. We can say that just take a look at languages here because the TOP and W is quite complicated. Just take a look at the online languages, mostly used online now. Okay, we have English number one, thanks to Mr. Jen Jennings, he's from British. We use English most, and then in online. The second is Japanese, the third is German, fourth Spanish, and the fifth is Chinese simplified. So if you are interested to come into this profession, maybe you have, outsource is okay, I think, but the problem for Asia is that they are, most of the world outsource us. And the implication, meaning of outsource, sometimes is not quite, suitable, may I say. Because when you outsource, it means that you cannot get direct job, right? You are outsourced. So I think sometimes we have to get direct job instead of to be outsourced. Asia is always outsourced all the time. So the market, you see, the amount and the value of the market. And this figure is very interesting as well. 90% of companies worldwide outsource translator and interpreters. 90%. And okay, among languages, I already mentioned in my earlier slide. If you invest just only 1% of translation, then you can get 1 time more new market and 1 time more profit. This is the thing that you can convince companies that are not interested in spending money on translation. You told them that this is the research, not just talking, you see, already researched, so it's already known worldwide. Now, right, okay, in the world we have only 5% of translator interpreters. So there are a lot, 95% that we have to train to serve the world. According to ASEAN, okay, we have to use language. And now, not just only the ASEAN that we are joining in 2015, you know about the AFTA, ASEAN Free Trade Agreement, you see, and it's ASEAN Free Trade Agreement. It's already, you see, signed by many countries, but it will be fully activated in 2015, and the GDP is 7 trillion US dollars, under which all the activities should be more or less participate or used the service of translation and interpretation. So the value is huge there. Moreover, not just only ASEAN Free Trade Zone, we have already just signed, last month, I think, among 159 countries. So they already signed agreement for business across borders that the value is at the beginning 1 trillion. In addition to existing of interview, we have insufficient translator and interpreters. Quality. Not just only individual translator and interpreters. We don't have enough translation services provider or language service providers. Both, the corporate standards, whatever benchmark or best practices certification. You see, because in Asia, we don't like, because I heard from Mr. Sopanya that from IIC, right? So you're certified from IIC and this is from Australia, but in Asia we don't have it. We have to have it very soon, because otherwise we cannot get direct job. For example, in Bangkok, if we hold conferences funded by UNESCO or UN, there lack of awareness on the importance of translation and interpretation. They don't know that without us, the world couldn't have the Tower of Babel. You know the Tower of Babel. Mankind would like to set up a tower to bridge the God, the heaven, for the world peace building. Because if we understand the same thing, then we wouldn't have any problems, right? So that's why China is named Stallion, the town with only 4 million residents, but they can generate income to China around 40 billion a year because of the activity of translation, interpretation, IT, and localization. You see in China already. Not just only in China, there are many countries like this. You see, in Rosario, Argentina, in Dublin, Dublin is the center of translation, interpretation in Ireland. Mr. Jenny knows very well. So I think I'm going to end my first presentation.